Welcome to Spirits of Whiskey. We explore the wide world of whiskey through the many colorful personalities who make it, promote it, write about it, and more.
With each podcast, Carrie Moynihan, a certified bourbon steward and bartender, and yours truly, Philip Dobar, director of the Cocktail Collection, interview whiskey's most important names.
From high-profile makers, blenders, and ambassadors,
to out-of-the-way innovators and remote pioneers.
Join us as we discover the people and elements that give the water of life its spirit.
Today on Spirits of Whiskey, our guest is Rhonda Kallman, founder and CEO of Boston Harbor Distillery. Rhonda, welcome.
Yes, hi, welcome. Nice to be here. Hi, guys.
Good to have you.
So glad to finally have you. We've had seven lovely drams from you for quite some time, and I'm like, when are we going to get her on? We have scheduling,
logistics.
So I'm very excited.
What I love about whiskey and spirits, it's just they don't go bad.
They don't go bad.
I know. If you'd sent us milk, we'd be in trouble.
Or beer, even
beer, yeah.
Speaking of beer, you have quite the background in beer, founding two beer brands, New Century Brewing, and before that, the Boston Beer Company. I mean, we're talking about 25 years worth of beer before you went into whiskey, which of course we all know is just distilled beer.
Right, you're jumping ahead. We need to ask her for the journey, Philip. Don't tell us
I don't want to forget those things because they're so good.
I have a trademark on the evolution of beer because it's really beer. Whiskey's beer for mature palates.
Exactly. So we always start out asking what your whiskey journey is, and obviously you started in beer. But before you were in beer, what did you have? Where did you grow up? Where were you born? What kind of aspirations did you have for a career? And did you follow through with any of that, or was this completely a different trajectory?
Lots of questions, easy answers, though. I'm actually born and raised in the Boston area. I've always lived within 20 miles of where I'm sitting here at the beautiful Boston Harbor Distillery. And I have been a hellraiser since the minute I was born. And
that's not a surprise.
I don't know why. Actually, my birthday is New Year's. I'm 4 minutes past midnight, so my birthday's coming up. A big one too, so that's good. But
29 again?
Yeah, 29B. I'm actually at like triple F at this point. Anyway, no, you know what? My father loved rye and ginger. He loved it. And he and my uncle would just drink it, on the weekends or whenever. And, drink a little bit on a Saturday afternoon, fall asleep in the chair. And there I was as a young girl, tasted my father's whiskey and ginger. And I fell in love. I was smitten. And I just always loved everything about alcohol. I tell people this and they laugh, but it's really, the complexity of it and the flavors and how everything comes together. And the conviviality of it all. And at the end, of course, how it makes you feel. And sometimes I wish it didn't make you feel that good. But it's just it's remarkable. And I'm very excited to be in Boston with Boston Harbor Distillery, making great whiskey and other spirits. And I feel like I've been training for this role my whole life.
Wow.
So let's start off with your beer endeavors. What brought you to your first beer job?
Well, it was a man, but not in the way that you think. Actually, I worked with this guy, Jim Cook. You may have heard of him, at Boston Consulting Group. And at the time, I was actually moonlighting as a bartender and a waitress. And when I wasn't working, I was in the bar anyway. I just love it. I love that atmosphere. So I'd come in a little late and a little hungover, but I was really good at what I did. Jim is really he's the sixth consecutive oldest son to be a brewer in his family. 3 Harvard degrees, went to Harvard. So he ended up from Cincinnati, he ended up living in Boston. And he decided to start a brewery in Boston in 1983. And he didn't really know anything about the industry, but he knew about beer making and he knew about business. So he asked me to help him start a beer company. And I said, geez, Jim, I don't actually drink beer. I drink whiskey. I told him that then. And he promised that he would make something that I'd like. And of course he did. And it was that, when we started Boston Beer Company in 1984, there was nothing like that. It was actually, craft wasn't even a term that was coined. It was micro breweries. And there was not anything like that on the East Coast, especially, in the Boston, New England area. And we didn't know what we were doing, and we didn't have any real money. But what we had was what was inside that bottle. And so that was really the start of, I think of it as almost being an evangelist for craft, and what really has become highlighted for me, what that term means. It gets corrupted by a lot of people, as you know, but it's really an ingredient story. And it started for me right there. And that's what I fell in love with, is I was so committed and passionate about what went inside that bottle, because I know what made that special beer different from others. And it, comes down to the ingredients. And to me, that's all about the integrity. And then the entrepreneur's integrity behind that. And all you bottle up that passion and you get something pretty remarkable. So
yeah,
I loved what we did there.
That was the Boston Beer Company, correct?
That was the Boston Beer Company.
And you were there 15 years. That's a long run.
It is a long run.
Well, if I had stayed longer, it would have been a much more profitable run. But here I am.
No. Okay. All right.
No, it's good. It was, being at the forefront of craft beer in America. Now, of course, you guys are in the right place, but San Francisco North is really where the trends come from, and they kind of come here to provincial New England last. So, people like Fritz Maytag and Ken Grossman, those guys started it, but it took them a while to get out of their backyard, and we came on the scene, and Jim knows how to make things happen, and off we went.
We interviewed Bruce from Hodling, nay Anchor, and we got the whole Fritz Maytag story. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I made a joke about the Maytag man, and he didn't get it. And I'm like, oh, never mind. It's like, never mind. Bad joke.
Dedicated to his work. So yes, indeed. So from there, you took a right turn into more beer.
Yes,
I did.
And what was the difference between, was there different styles of beer, or were they the same kinds of beers and just a different company, or how was the beer change?
Oh, no. I can't do anything the same. I mean, that's just that's my creative entrepreneurial juices flowing. And what's the point? If you can't do it better, cheaper, innovative, stay home. So I spent 15 years helping Jim build Sam at Boston Beer Company, making Sam Adams and other brands a household name. And we went public, and I found myself in meetings all the time. Meetings, more meetings and meetings. And I was getting further away from what I really love, which is building things from scratch and, finding the cracks that the big guys leave behind. And so I left the company, and there was an article that came out that said, I stepped off my throne as the queen of beer. And I laugh about that, because there were no women in the industry at all. Literally, so I've got a recognition from the Brewers Association of being the pioneering woman. And I get asked all the time, so what was it like being a woman I'm like, I don't know what it's like being a man. So I can just tell you it was great, So for me, it's been awesome. But I was, we were, at the top of the game, and that's when I left, and I really didn't know what I wanted to do. Then Jim's brewing consultant, Dr. Joseph Awades, called me up when he read I left the company and said, I'll make a beer, you start a company. I thought, oh my gosh,
and that
what
was
am I
New
supposed
Century.
to do? And that was January of 2000. We had survived this whole Y2K. We're going to all blow up. So that was good.
Is that why you named it New Century?
That is it. And I think it was really the first brewing company of the new millennium.
Yeah.
So I love I love to be the first at things.
4 minutes after
And
midnight, perhaps.
that's
Yes.
it, right? I was born that way.
Yeah.
And, here's the man. Joe was the guy who invented light beer in 1967. And he's calling me and I'm like, oh shit, Joe, I don't, what would I do? Like, I can't compete with Sam Adams. I don't even want to try. I just spent, 15 years building this thing. But I sat there in the Caribbean and I thought, geez, wouldn't it be nice to have just in the Caribbean? I was there for 2.5 months. It was glorious. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be nice to have a better light beer? And so and I called them up. I said, Joe, it's been 40 years, 35 years, whatever it was. Can't you do light beer better? And so that's when New Century Brewing was born. And I created a beer called Edison, and it was made from scratch to be light by Joe. There was no regular light beer. And I loved it. I loved what we were doing. I was very excited. And I was launching in Boston and New York. And it was on the eve of 9/11. And so that is a story of being on the right side of bad timing.
Yeah.
So, I'm a little ballsy and sometimes pig-headed. And I decided that those terrorists weren't going to wreck my plans. And I kept going. And it was just very difficult because particularly in those two markets, nobody really wanted to try anything new. Right. They were more interested in what they already, because everything. Right. Anyway, I kept things going and I found chef-owned, operated places that loved my beer. And Trader Joe's was great for me because they don't have Bud, Miller, Coors, or,
they have
Corona.
Good stuff.
So that was all good, but it wasn't really, wasn't enough. And so I created this beer called Moonshot. I was dancing at a Red Hot Chili Peppers concert and decided I wanted to bottle that feeling. I was all energized and created a beer with caffeine. And so Awaities, figured out how to do it. And we had a patent in 4 countries in the process of adding caffeine to beer and ale. And I launched that on a credit card. And it was years, it took years to get it to the place where it was just about to go. And then boom, Joe had died a couple years earlier, and Four Loko and Panther Juice. So I didn't have my brewing consultant anymore. Went to another guy, and the same guy that Four Loko and Panther used. And anyway, they ended up using my patented process of adding caffeine to beer and ale. And then they took it to completely new heights and ended up getting us all shut down. So when you go to the TTB website, the only brands since Prohibition that have ever been banned, I'm like right there. And it shouldn't have happened. My beer was very different than what they were doing, but I got caught in the net. And I just lost heart of the beer business. So, look, when life hands you lemons, I make whiskey. And that's what led me to this.
You went into something much easier with much lower hurdles.
Oh my gosh. Ballsy and blind are probably not two good combinations, but I did. And, there was a white space here for whiskey making in the Boston area. And so that's when Boston Harbor Distillery was born. And I incorporated in 2012, and took me a few years to raise some capital, renovate this old, beautiful 1850s building on the southernmost waterfront of Boston. This is actually the building. I love it. You could kind of see it. That's really it. 100 clear story windows. Well, Phil's been here.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's a special space. Truly a special space.
Thank you.
Well, since we
thank you for the tour and the tasting of everything on site.
Yes.
Well, we have more since you were here.
Okay.
You got to come back.
I'll come back. Okay.
I'll come too.
Yes, Carrie and I will come back.
Since we have
no exclusions.
7 drams.
Oh, and there are at least 7 more on site.
Oh, I'm sure. But since we have 7 today, glad we were able to move this to an afternoon recording instead of yesterday at 9. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do 9 o'clock for 7 drams. But so we have a bunch of stuff. We have 3 Putnams, 1 Demon Seed, which sounds very interesting, and then 3 Boston Harbor Spirit of Boston that are made from Samuel Adams. So which should we start with, and which direction should we go?
Let's start with what I built the company for. Although I'm going out of order on proof. We're starting with the highest proof, and we're going to get out from there. Right.
We'll
that's a single malt.
That's my single malt.
It's the single malt. Okay.
Yes, it is. And so this whole my building and this whole 18-acre parcel that I'm on used to be the center of entrepreneurial commerce for this America. And my building, it was built by this guy Silas Putnam, who automated the horseshoe nail manufacture. This was his logos. So they had government contracts and made horseshoe nails and supplied both sides of the Civil War out of here. It's pretty cool.
A mercenary.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And then this horse and rider is his uncle, General Israel Putnam, the Revolutionary War hero.
Wow.
Yeah, that's him. So that's why I have a horse. And I thought when I was building this, I did not have a brand idea. My husband is a builder, so he was renovating it. And I was in here painting one night, and it just came to me, why not name it after the entrepreneur, Putnam, which is a big name in New England. You probably heard of Putnam Investments.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, it's all the lineage from the family. And so that's when Putnam whiskey was born. But because of my my career in craft beer, again, what I learned was craft is really an ingredient story. And Sam Adams was 100% malted barley. And, you know, what made that special beer different was that it wasn't corn. And what people, you know, not our people that understand whiskey, et cetera, but a lot of our consumers don't realize that bourbon, does not need to be made in Bourbon County, but it is made with a majority of corn by law and all of that stuff. So it's great. They get to come in here and learn. And so I decided to make whole grain whiskeys here. I mean, I know I can't compete with the 20 million barrels that are laying down in Tennessee and Kentucky. And I'm not used to working with corn or drinking corn, to be honest. So I thought this was an opportunity to take a page out of what we did at Sam Adams and prove that Americans can make great whiskey too. We don't have to just go to Scotland or, you know, Asia or world whiskeys for good quality malt whiskey. We can do that right here in America.
Of course.
This is one of the reasons I wanted to talk with you, because I noticed there was not really any bourbons in what you sent, and being you sent us more samples than anyone else by like 2 bottles, and we already were like, well, we got 5, and now we got 7, and I'm like, there's no bourbon here. I was like, I can't wait to talk to her, because if you do listen to the podcast, although I enjoy a bourbon, it's my least favorite of the whiskeys, and I think which is funny because I absolutely love corn, but there's just something about the flavor of corn in a whiskey that's just a little bit too much for me. So I was very excited to finally taste these. Well, cheers. I mean, This is 100 proof. So this is 100% 2-row malted barley. We get our barley from Breese. We don't grow a lot of stuff around here in Boston, you know. So we get our malt from Breese, which is America's premier growing region in northern Idaho, southern Montana. And 20% of the mash bill or thereabouts is this roasted malt that you get this beautiful chocolate sort of toffee finish. I love it. And it was inspired. We wanted to do something with a local terroir, but we just didn't have our, you know, our own growers at the time.
Right.
So
lobster, you could get lobster in the mix, perhaps, but
that might taste a little weird.
Yeah, exactly. And oysters. That's how you
oysters.
say it. Cod. Yeah, we have plenty of that.
The fish and chips
nearby blend is the America's oldest chocolatier is the Walter Baker Chocolate Factory.
Oh, nice.
So my distiller, who I moved from the West Coast, he lived across the street from that, and that inspired the mash bill.
Very good.
Yeah, there it is.
Good. Okay.
So
all right.
With this, I do add a little bit of drop of water. I think it really opens this particular whiskey up, just like a little eyedropper full of water.
Yeah.
And it's just a wonderful, beautiful sipping whiskey.
What was your first release? Well, let me ask you this: Did you originally source from other makers until you'd lain down your own long enough?
This is made here, grain to glass.
Nice.
Right here. The mash tun's behind me right now. But the first whiskey that I went to market with, because I honestly wanted to build a whiskey distillery here, and I didn't want to start with going to market. And this is what I know how to do, is go to market. Like Phil, you've been to my building, and it's not easy to get to. There's no public transportation.
No, it is not. It was
There's
an expensive Uber ride, but it was worth it.
But yet it's easy enough for someone
traffic
to drive into the one pole that brings electricity to your whole building.
3 days later, on our busiest week of the year, like go figure. Pandemics, whatever. We have whiskey though. That's what we have.
And it's on a cul-de-sac, no less.
Oh my gosh, it's a peninsula.
And it's a U. Yes, I remember the neighborhood. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, so we do. So this is the first whiskey that we went to market with.
Okay.
And thank heavens, rye does not need that much time to age.
Okay.
So this is our Putnam, New England straight rye. Of course, we went to market with it before it was straight.
Of course, because you haven't reached the
Was it day at a time that changed?
Yeah. So in other words, you never marketed anyone else's whiskey.
No.
Everything you've ever taken to market is yours.
Well, it is mine, but this one's a little different. So the single malt grain to glass right here, one distiller, one distillery laid down on site. We have bottled in bond, 4-year-old, 100 proof. It's all
okay.
Good.
All right.
This we source 95.5 rye, and it comes in at 135 proof. In the early days, we would redistill it. And we got this beautiful, really soft, easy to drink whiskey. And people loved it. I mean, we were selling, 18-month-old whiskey, but it was good. And so we just continued along that trajectory because we could get the distillate, but we produce it here. Okay. So so all of our barrels are 53 gallon. We do, seasoned, toasted, charred, heavy char, and we lay them down on site. But what I love about it is that we meld lots of barrels together for that particular whiskey.
Okay. All right.
Most of the single malt is single barrel.
So there's a blending process where you're always seeking consistency. Now this is 95.5. There is no corn in this rye. This is rye and barley.
No corn. Yep. 95% rye grain and 5% malted barley.
Do you have any corn in any of your drinks?
No corn, no sugar.
Sorry, bourbonites.
Yep. That's why I keep doing what I'm doing, and I can work 12 hours a day and drink a lot and get up and do it again because it's good stuff. That's the measurement.
This is what I say. This is what I say to people when they say, I don't understand how you could drink so much whiskey. And I said, if you stick with the single malts and the ryes, you can just keep going. It's when you add the sugar and corn, which is high in sugar. When I was in my 20s and I was just drinking all these fruity drinks and Midori sours and mudslides and all these things. Yeah. I would feel the next day. Yeah. And then when I discovered whiskey, and it was all sugar hangovers. And when I discovered whiskey, I was like, okay, but I had like 3 of those last night and they're higher proof and I feel fine. So that's how this became my drink.
So cheers.
Cheers.
So this is, I've got some other theories about what makes you feel bad, but definitely sugar. And I think it's when people go long into the tail, when you make your cuts, the heads, the hearts, and the tail, and you go long into the tail, much like the Scottish do. But you don't feel bad after Scotch because they age out all that stuff, the things, the congeners and things that your liver doesn't produce that well. But those, cheap booze manufacturers, they go long into the tail, and you're drinking tails, and your liver just can't keep up with some of the stuff that's in there.
Right.
So it overwhelms you. But this, I actually call this a beginner's whiskey. And we have people that walk through the doors here and they're like, oh, they don't know. They're like, you make Scotch here? No, well, you have to be in Scotland, Or I thought bourbon, you don't make bourbon because that can only be made in Bourbon County. No, well, that's not, it needs to be made in America, which is the best part of bourbon. I love that part.
Right.
But this, they're like, oh, but I don't really like whiskey. Well, just try it. They're like, wow. The people will try it and go, oh, that's good. Because they had some bad whiskey that they didn't like, and they never forgot that. But this is, to me, this is kind of an entry point where you can have a whole grain whiskey that's soft and smooth, and you can drink it neat. You can have it on a cube. It punches through in a cocktail. Oh, my gosh, it makes great cocktails.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I
love
really
this.
like this, and I prefer my Manhattans with a rye. So I think, and I like perfect Manhattans, and I do cherry bitters instead of orange bitters. So I think that's what I'm going to try tonight with this bad boy.
Love, love, love. Yes, we actually do a little cherry one with the single malt too, but that's I keep that for my glass. What was I going to say? Oh, we do a Boss Hatton here. Instead of a Manhattan, you get it, Boss Hatton.
Boss Hatton.
Love it.
Clever.
I got it.
You might have had one. I kind of remember having
I
Boss Hatton with you.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I
said you asked me what I'd like, and I said, as long as it's stirred and aromatic, I'm good. And you probably ordered a Boss Hatton for me.
So we make it with a caramelized fig instead of vermouth because we can only serve what we make here, so we can't use vermouth. If I was trying not to break the law, which is what I try not to do every day. Sometimes it happens, but it's so good. If you like fig, it's a perfect fall winter cocktail.
And you make that there, this fig?
No, we buy the fig because we can make.
But it's non-alcoholic.
We buy it from Liber and Company. You guys familiar with Liber?
No, Philip probably.
Oh, they're out of Austin, Texas.
Okay.
They do kind of cocktail mixtures and stuff like that.
All right.
Yeah. So I'm glad you like that. And I think you have a bottle of, do you have a bottle of the red wine barrel finish?
So the red wine,
so you
same
have
juice?
This, correct?
Yes.
This is the same juice, which I love this because it just highlights, it's the same juice. It's 86 proof, which is the same. And it's finished in Cab Franc barrels by that little custom crush winery next door.
Okay.
Called the Boston Winery.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love what the red wine finish does.
How long does it
gives it that sweetness?
How long do you finish it?
Till it's ready. No, it's honestly, who the hell?
And are these wet? Months. Okay. And are these wet casks?
So wet. I mean, I'm not even kidding you. He'll dump them and they roll them across. We roll them across the parking lot.
Sure.
I love it.
We do. It's good. But I just, you look at the color, you can see that it adds like a ruby hue. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we have, which I didn't send you, but we have, this is a new favorite of, the single barrel cask strength. This, it's so good, of the rye. So those are our 4 expressions that we have available. Mm-hmm. We did do a one-off maple barrel finish of the rye. So good. Again, adding a level of sweetness.
Why only a one-off?
I don't know. We were experimenting, and then some retailer came in. He had the gall to buy the whole barrel from us.
Okay, so do more.
So we're going to make some more. Yeah. Yay. So that's my Putnam lineup. And, I think we're in the hunt. We've been at this. I opened the doors in 2015. We started distilling then. So we have some 4+ year-old whiskeys here now. We don't have enough of them. So
to meet demand.
Well, the good news is, our growth is there. So it's hard to sell somebody a 3.5, 4-year-old bottle and then go back to, less than 2 years old. So I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of pulling back a little bit. I'm going to go deep in Massachusetts with Putnam because we're here. And then we've got a whole plethora of other items that are doing really well. And so we have it all. Now we have like 18 different things, Phil, since you were
18
here.
SKUs.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, ish. All right.
Now, are we moving on to the Boston Harbor baby bottles here, or are we going to do this Demon Seed?
We're saving Demon Seed for last.
Okay.
So,
can you tell I'm very interested to see what this Demon Seed's all about?
I just don't want to hurt your taste buds for the rest of the day. That's at the end.
I want to preface this by saying that I am a huge fan and an evangelist for whiskey that's been distilled from beer made for drinking.
So good.
Huge. Yeah.
So you're about...
I don't like beer. I don't particularly care for whiskey where hops been added in the process. If the hops are already in it, it works for me.
Yeah.
And so like the rye, where I sent you our straight rye with our red wine barrel finish rye, I wanted you to have all three of these expressions. They're extremely limited. You can't get them anywhere except for the distillery, really. But just to tease everybody, you can actually order them online through Sealbox. They legally can sell. We cannot ship anything in or out of Massachusetts. It's
geez. Okay. Nanny state. Nanny.
So we're going to try this first one. This is made from Samuel Adams' third. Oh, isn't that nice?
Is gorgeous. I think this little set it's just fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to start with the malty one. Of course, Sam Adams is made with, their beer is made from 100% malted barley. So this to me, it's like a malt whiskey. I haven't had this one for a while.
Which one are we doing? Are we doing the blue, the brown,
the white and blue?
Yeah, the blue one.
Okay.
This has a little. They have something. They use something called Cosmic Mother Funk, and
It sounds like something from Parliament Funkadelic.
Yeah, it's crazy. It just has this weird yeast. I think I'm actually, it kills me. But this one, it basically, think of this: they finish their beer right before they put it in a bottle. The freshest beer you could get. We grab a half a tanker load of it, like 3,000 gallons, and we bring it right to the still. So we do our 2 runs, a stripping run, and then we polish it. And we do the head cuts, and we cut our hearts narrow. And then we actually age it in used barrels because we don't want too much wood to overwhelm the nuances of what's in every beer. But I want you to try the next one, which is from the Samuel Adams New World Tripel. Now, they don't make these beers anymore. So these are truly limited, one of a kind. Yeah, it's the green label. This one is, it concentrates the hops. This is like dank weed. It's like,
oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think my roommate's a pothead. He's not a pothead, but he's a pot connoisseur as I am a whiskey connoisseur. He and his brother both, and they'll come in and they'll be like, okay, smell this one. And I was like, they all smell like skunk to me. He goes, oh, you gotta fix your nose, man. I said, no, my nose is on whiskey. When I smell your pot, it's just skunk to me. But
good for you. You stick to your whiskey gun.
I know.
This I love. I tell you what, it makes the world's best Bloody Mary because it's vegetative, because it concentrates the hops, which is, as all you listeners and viewers know, nearest botanical relative to marijuana. And I just love this one. This is one of my favorites. And beer, this is really a whiskey for beer lovers and a beer for whiskey lovers.
Yeah.
That makes
I
sense.
totally see that.
It makes lots of sense.
And I trademarked the evolution of beer for this because this is the grown-up version of beer. It's the best of beer.
There you go.
Gluten-free. Doesn't give you gas on a date, which is nice. And it's low calorie.
There you go.
And all of these, if you notice, are bottled at 84 proof. That is the year that we started Sam Adams.
Oh,
That's
very good.
Very fantastic.
Very nice. So there's a story about the true Bostonian handshake and the wonderful whatever. That's my legacy
True
one.
Bostonian handshake. Is that a shot of Sam Adams?
No, if it's inspired by our treasured connection between Boston Harbor Distillery and the Boston Beer Company.
Okay, that's the handshake.
A true Bostonian handshake.
Understood.
It's like reaching across the aisle.
Is Mr. Cook still in charge of the distillery over there, or is he retired by now?
No. Oh, geez, Jim. He is. I was just with him in Palm Beach.
Palm Beach.
I was at the Sam Adams Tap Room in Faneuil Hall, Boston today. First time I ever went there. No one invited me, so I decided to kick the doors open and go in and go, hello. Pretty cool. No, he's very committed. He is still all in, and he loves what he does. And, good for him. He's been doing it for 37 years.
And are you guys going to have more of these collaborations with his other beers?
They're too busy. They're too busy making Truly. No.
Okay, then.
Sorry.
I can cut this out if you need me
to. They merged with Dogfish Head. And Dogfish Head, as you know, Sam Calagione was just our the keynote speaker at the American Craft Spirits Association convention in Louisville, which was like a week and a half ago. It was a great conference. And Sam was our keynote, but he has a distillery. So Rhonda's kicked to the curb.
Oh,
that sucks.
That's okay. I've got some other beer friends around here. But honestly,
no boss Hatton for him.
Yeah, right. He did come and visit me the other day, and Sam did. He came down. I'm like, really, dude? You're in Boston now, right? Come down and pay your respect. So he did, and he brought me a hat. That was nice.
Okay,
very nice. No boss Hatton. But you know what? There's only so much still time. So at this point, I'm going to be making some more of my own whiskey.
Okay.
And
good.
this thing is coming. Look, there's 9,000 plus breweries in the United States, which is awesome. And they're all going to be making whiskey because they're already set up to do it. They need to get a still.
Yeah, right.
This last one is very appropriate. This is the time of year. This is Christmas in a bottle. This is, turn it to the side a little bit, the other side. Oh, there it is. Samuel Adams Merrymaker Gingerbread Stout. And I wanted you to have this too because the first one was about the malt. The second one was about the hops. And this is about the spices. So they use clove, nutmeg, ginger, and cinnamon. And so what Distill does is really, Oh, I like the New World, but this is good. I usually end up having Merrymaker after dinner. Because, you have cocktails, then you have, it's wonderful. Just one cube,
I'm
maybe.
so glad we actually are doing this now because this is the type of dram that I want to have right now. With day before yesterday, I went to El Pollo Loco and they offered me a hot chocolate Mexican something or other, cinnamon whatever, and I was like, yes, please. They gave it to me. It was a little cold, but when I got home and microwaved it, I was like, yeah, that's this time of year. It's a little chocolatey, it's a little cinnamony, it's got a little Mexican flair. But, these are the kinds of things you want to have right now. And I could totally see this in a hot beverage. I could see you making this like
a hot toddy.
Like a hot, yes, which I will probably make out of this later because today I'm coming down with a cold because I was around my little niece who's 3 and, they get sick. But I am COVID tested. I am negative. I'm good. But hot toddies are my heroes when I'm sick. So I was like, okay, I can't wait till this afternoon and I could try all these to see what I'm going to make the hot toddy out of. And I think this is going to be it.
I mean, it's so limited. Be careful. I use the rye with lemon and ginger tea and some honey and then more rye than anything. And it's so good.
Yeah.
Clears me right up. But if you want to be cleared up, let's talk about this now. So we go down the spirit of...
If you want to be cleared of everything, the great evacuator. The great evacuator, demon seed.
I want to hear the story of this. There's got to be a story
pepper,
behind the
ginger,
strand.
and maple syrup flavored whiskey. We're listening.
All right.
I am a little scared. I'm not going to lie.
You should be. You honestly should. It's wild. It is this roller coaster of variant spice and heat. This is all about heat. I started my day with this because I had somebody in and started my day with demon seed. Yikes! Actually,
the bottle art is that Mr. Putnam shooing Satan?
No, but it's close. So the story of this is my master distiller, John Couchot, who we were still sawdust in the floor here back in like 2014, 15. He comes in with a mason jar and says, You like heat? You like spice? No, not really. All right, try it anyway. So I drank it. It's hot as hell. You got to try it. And I said, John, he's like, just relax. Just wait. Because what this is, it's scorpion pepper. It's whole scorpion peppers, which are the hottest non-GMO pepper, macerated in rye whiskey with the addition of perfectly blended fresh ginger and real maple syrup. That's it. That's what goes in here.
Mm-hmm.
When we're making it, everybody's coughing their brains out. You got to wear masks, gloves, and glasses.
There will be tears.
They're crying like the onions. They're crying from all the spice.
Crying. One of them threw up.
It actually smells like candy. Am I crazy?
Oh no. I want this. It's like, Intel inside. I want demon seed inside of everything because this stuff is so good. All right. So it's in your mouth, Phil, right? You've swallowed it. You go, oh, that's good. And then all of a sudden the heat comes up and you go.
It's got a bloom. It's got a Scoville bloom. Yes.
I love that. Woo! Just wait. You'll be all right.
Mr. Scoville and I are already good friends, but my Lord, he might be crossing the boundary.
And there's no cinnamon, by the way. This ain't
it
your mama's fireball.
But it's got a real, not a fake cinnamon. It's got an actual real cinnamon taste in the finish, which you can tell is not. Well, it's not a fireball finish, and to me, fireball is. Sorry if we ever have fireball on the show, but we probably won't. But it's a little syrupy. It's a little, I would probably pour that over vanilla ice cream rather than drink it. But this has a beautiful, beautiful spice at the end.
Mm-hmm. And I had a cocktail.
There is no cinnamon, by the way. So I think subliminally you might be tasting that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think so. I think it's the cross of the pepper and the maple is probably making that for me.
Yeah. What is on the menu at the bar? There's a cocktail on the menu there that features this.
Oh, here? Yeah, we call it the nail biter.
And I had it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I live to tell the tale.
It's Putnam rye and demon seed and fiery ginger syrup that we get from Liber and Company.
Okay.
And no, they are not giving me any royalties for this, but they should. and
well, maybe we should talk to them about that.
We use our signature sweetener because we don't add sugar to anything is Ackerman Farms maple syrup. It's a small family farm in Cabot, Vermont that literally Ian and Caitlin come down with their little kids and they deliver our drums of maple syrup. It's awesome. It's so good.
Question: is it the same rye juice that's just
It
been cut
is.
down in proof? Okay.
It is. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
I'm not gonna lie. I was really scared to drink this, but it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
It is.
There you go. You
isn't
might
it?
be changing this evening's hot toddy plans.
I might.
Yeah. Well, I wish I had sent you guys some of our maple cream, but this was really more of a whiskey forward thing. And
We can follow up.
we put the two together and we call it a cream and demon.
Oh,
We've
yeah.
done that. Yeah. Oh, but wait, what you can do is the screaming demon. These two, rye and demon seed and some pineapple juice.
Oh boy.
Such
That
a great
does sound
cocktail.
like a screaming demon.
Screaming demon. It's so great. Anything like mango, like you guys have all that beautiful citrus
Yeah.
stuff out there.
we got California.
So
Yeah.
good. Like a frozen, like a really like thick frozen mango whiskey cocktail with demon
Yeah.
seeds. So
We
good.
grow a thing or two out here. Yes.
Yes. No, I have a friend
Don't rub it
who's,
in.
I don't know if you guys have been seeing on the internet, they've had these like
Even
spicy
lobsters, we grow those too.
challenges. I have a friend who's been taking those spicy challenges, and she'll order these peppers and she will eat them, and it's like nothing. And then her friend will come on and eat one and be crying. And she's like, yeah, no, I'm fine. And I'm like it's saying, beware of this. This could put you in the hospital, blah, 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 blah. And she still eats it, and she's like, fine. And I'm like, did you kill your tongue? Because I don't know how. So I think this is going to be a Christmas present. I think I'm going to have to send her a little sample for Christmas and
It's
say, try this one.
genetics. It's
Well,
genetics.
you can order one and keep that one for yourself. Go to
I will order one.
Sealbox.
Sealbox.com. There we go.
Yeah.
What's
Or
on
Doug for whiskey lovers.
Doug for Whisk?
Oh, I love Doug.
He
He
was
was
on
our
our
third.
third
He was our
episode?
third guest.
Isn't he great?
I love Doug.
Yeah.
We're gonna go to Doug
It's a good
just
show.
because.
Yeah, indeed.
Because
We owe
Doug
him.
was our third guest.
We owe him.
I've been on his mailing list for years and years and years. And Philip was like, "Who's this Doug for whiskey lovers?" I said, "Are you gonna love him? You'll love him." And he's like, "Doug was great." So
Doug's great. He's the real deal.
What's on the horizon? We know you've got 18 SKUs. We know you do a rum. Do you do any white spirits? Do you do a gin? What you got going there?
Yeah.
Okay, talk to us.
Well, what you can't see is my bar cart next to my desk right
Okay.
here. It's great right there. Yeah, I got
That's
a big bar
perfect.
cart. of
Perfect
stuff.
location.
So well, just go back to the story for a second. So we made, Putnam made horseshoe nails here. When the car came in, no need for horseshoe nails, so they went out of business. And the next notable entrepreneur to have commerce was the Lawley Shipyard.
Mm-hmm.
And they're famous for building these America's Cup winning yachts.
Mm-hmm.
Lawley Street is right here on the side. And in
Okay.
my building, they built minesweepers for World War II. Of course, Boston Harbor is right here, and
Mhm.
our dark days of the triangle trade of slaves, ammunition, and molasses.
Mhm.
So if you're in New England, you got to make rum.
Yeah, it was
you
a center
gotta
of
make it.
it was a center of rum making.
It was the center of rum making.
I thought
Exactly.
it was the
So
Boston Tea Party.
right. Yeah, you could probably, with demon seed and rye and some other stuff, you could probably make a nice iced tea, like a
Yeah,
alcoholic.
we could call it the
yeah.
Boston Massacre.
Yeah.
We have one on the menu, but I'll have to get that.
A
to you
Boston
later.
Massacre?
No, but I like that.
It might be too soon.
Oh, I don't know. It's been years.
Well, yeah. With demon seed, it goes along with that. Did I ever finish that story? I never did, but that's okay.
Oh, did you?
No,
Demon seed,
wait.
go to the website, read about it. It's probably
Okay.
not on the website. Don't go to the website.
Okay, then
No, you didn't
then
finish the
Then
story.
finish the
How do you tell
story.
us? Tell us.
So there's so many, but demon seed's cool. So Kushel comes in here and he says, "Demon seed, I don't know what the hell. What do you call this? This is unbelievable. What do you call it? It's so hot." He said, "Demon seed." I said, "John, if you think demon seed's going to fit in my luxury premium whiskey company here, it ain't happening." So that was that. And then, years later, a customer comes in. We have horseshoes that we found in the building. So from the 1850s, real horseshoes, and we have them over our doors. And the Putnam horseshoe is painted on one of the doors. Phil, as you remember. And a customer said to me, "How come your horseshoe is down?" I said, "I don't really know. We just took the logos." So eventually I looked it up. And by the way, this catches the luck and this holds the luck in. So we're lucky in here, which is nice. We need luck. But at the bottom of the Wikipedia page was a story about Saint Dunstan and the devil.
Okay. Oh, and that's who that is.
Yeah, and that's the blacksmith. And it was the story with this anyway. So yeah, we now have a registered trademark on this, but it's a folklore of the ages. So Saint Dunstan walked into the devil's shop and horseshoed him, recognized him as the devil, horseshoed him instead of his horse. And the devil was very unhappy about it. And St. Dunstan said, "I'll take the horseshoe off your foot if you promise never to walk over the threshold of a door that has a horseshoe over it." And so I said, "Holy shit, that's demon seed." And I called Cusho and he said, "Finally." And so meanwhile, he's out in California now. And my current distiller, John's still, master distilling, but my guy that really does the work every day labors over it because, mixing this and making this is very detrimental to your health, but it's
I can imagine. Good. You need a special mask, an industrial mask.
Well, so in this building though, that's a long story,
right.
But you've probably heard of Whitey Bulger,
Oh, yes.
Monster.
Yeah, he got caught right here in Santa Monica. Yes.
In Santa Monica, right there.
Oh,
Is that where you are?
You've been living here for years and years.
We're nearby Santa Monica.
Yeah, we're near Santa Monica. Los Angeles basically surrounds Santa Monica. So anyway.
It does. Yeah. And evidently, so there's a freezer because the last notable entrepreneur to have commerce here was the Seymour's Ice Cream Factory. So there's a freezer that's insulated that actually is our barrel room, which is great for barrel aging, which gives us all of this beautiful color and just flavor. Part of it's that. Lucky for us, it was already here, but unlucky for some of Whitey's guys, because you could torture him in there. And the folklore is here that you could torture him in the freezer building and you couldn't hear the screams because it's insulated, because it's a freezer.
And then they got hung up to freeze.
Demon seed here really is the original demon is Whitey.
Okay.
Thank heavens he's dead. I'm sorry, Whitey. Don't kill me. There's still some of those around. But you're
making him live on. So why would he kill you? You're making him live on.
Right. I know. Well, this is actually for St. Dunstan, but if I want to modernize it, I can do that too. There's so many stories. But then back to Lawley's. So this is our rum line, 100% molasses, which is New England style. This is amazing. We'll have to do another podcast about this stuff.
You got
because it's so good. All made here, 100% molasses. And then this gin is a citrus forward, gorgeous. Angelica roots, coriander, lemon peel, tangerine peel. We use whole oranges in the still. Vapors go right through. It's just beautiful. Yeah. So wonderful. Lawley's, crazy little name, but it's meaningful to us around here.
Sure. Yeah. Are you distilling are you distilling the base for the gin?
No, we're buying the base and then we're redistilling that.
Okay. All right. With the botanicals in a Carter basket.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
In a basket.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it works. It works for us. I love it. This is the molasses is very expensive and it's very sticky.
Yeah. Do you do any rum aging?
We have a dark rum that is somewhere. It's actually, here it is. It's the one that we've been drinking recently. It's a dark rum, but we don't age it. We actually vat it. So it's like a vatted rum. We'll put parts, pieces, sticks, chips, staves in a vat and we let it sit for about 8 weeks and that's beautiful. Okay. We get that. This actually won best aged rum from the manual. And it's not aged. So I guess it's false advertising. I don't know where they got it, but they did.
They must have assumed since it's dark.
We are doing some barrel aging stuff. We made a pear gin. Dorchester, where we're at, Dorchester is a part of Boston, and we're known for our pears, evidently. The clap pears.
Okay.
Which is why you've never heard about it, because nobody
So if you
really wants to talk.
throw one
I
to
don't know
someone,
exactly
they
what
might
clap.
No
they
one
might
wants
catch
the
the clap.
pears.
They might catch the clap pear if you toss it to them.
Right. But
Anyway.
we actually used, whole cut up pears and raisin and hazelnut and some amazing things. So that's laying down. Yeah, we're doing some fun stuff, barrel finishes on everything.
Mm-hmm. Everything sounds so
Fantastic.
much fun. I mean, everything we've drunk is fun. Right?
Yeah.
And all the stuff you're the other SKUs that are already in the market and the stuff you're working on, everything's fun, and not in a silly novel way, in a like, oh my God, I want to drink that way.
Yeah.
It tastes good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we're working on, we have a pre-batch craft cocktail line that we're doing. We did that, during the pandemic is when we perfected Demon Seed, and we made gin, and we did the pre-batch cocktail line. And it's things change in the world, right? They change fast.
Tell us about it. Yes.
Yeah. So what's going on with you guys?
Well,
we've been doing this podcast.
We're doing Spirits of Whiskey. When the pandemic descended, Carrie and I I had just joined her on a TV show pilot that's still in development, actually in post-production. And we're like, we could no longer, the Center for Culinary Culture could no longer do all that it had been doing, which is in-person education programming and gallery exhibits. So media. So Carrie and I together developed a bunch of stuff that's in production and distribution now. And there's more, and lots of stuff going on. So
Awesome.
yeah, now that restrictions have lifted, we've returned to in-person programming, not quite at the intensity in years past, but we'll get back there. But now, of course, we have to keep all of this media work
right
as well.
out for now.
For the moment. Although we
until we
produce
get our free jet plane.
Private jet. Right.
We do produce a show out of Boston, two actually. One is the Cocktail Guru podcast, and starring Jonathan Pogash and his father Jeffrey, and also Cocktails the Grand Tour, where Jonathan Pogash again does a episode by episode global tour of cocktail history, one cocktail at a time.
Wow. Well, send them my way, will you?
I will.
Yeah.
We will.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yay.
Yeah. So,
well, I don't know. Are you going to be as hard to get a hold of for them as you were for us?
Yeah, walk a day in these boots. Let me tell you,
I'll be like, all you have to do is send a truck through the pole outside, and all of a sudden she'll be
that'll
available.
get her attention. In all seriousness, I don't know. We've talked about cocktails. We always end the interviews with cocktail talk.
Yeah,
and we've talked about cocktails the entire time. I'm happy to talk about it more. I'm just saying we've been covering.
We can do a little
wrap
up with a little tiny cocktail talk.
So, what do you like drinking? What do you like? We know what's on the menu at the Distillery bar, but what do you like drinking? What kind of cocktails? Like if you just hit a bar in downtown Boston, what are you gonna? Well, let's assume it's 9:00 on a Saturday. What are you gonna? 9 p.m. on a Saturday.
Espresso martini in a bottle. A genie in a bottle. Well, you asked. So that way I don't have to make my own because someone's already done it for me and I can travel with it. It's beautiful. Okay. Right. No, I mean, what do I have? I mean, one of my favorites is, we have a blueberry basil smash made with Putnam rye, fresh basil, just 2 lemons, squeeze and drop, and some blueberry jam. Throw a teaspoon or so in there and shake the heck out of it and just pour it all in a glass with the ice. And it is a delicious drink. Mm-hmm. And you can, any time of year because it's blueberry jam and basil and lemon.
I have fresh basil in the garden outside.
Well,
I just need to go get some blueberry jam and we're good to go because I have the rest of it. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah. And send me a note. You're going to love it.
I know I do. I might.
It'll be smashing.
Freezer though. Maybe I can just make Maybe I can smash some blueberries instead of having a jam.
Yeah, and add some sugar. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
For the jam
Or-
part, you got to sweeten it.
Or you can go to Liber and Company and order their caramelized fig syrup.
There we go.
Order their fiery ginger syrup. And then you can make a nail biter, and you can make a boss hat.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
The boss Hatton. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. Well,
This has been
Okay.
fantastic.
I would say today has been delightful. What say
Quite.
you, Carrie?
And honestly, after all these 7 drams, I feel much better. My sore throat is gone, and I feel fantastic.
I'm fine.
So
I don't know what I was thinking.
I don't think I'm sick anymore. But I want to thank you
Exactly.
so much for making the time for us, because we've been looking forward to this interview for quite some time, and I've been waiting forever to try these, and they've just been, sitting on my bar, and then like people come in and out. You haven't opened those yet? And I said, no, I'm still waiting for there's I don't want to open one now, because until we have a date, it might disappear.
That's right. And we were over here singing
Once I
Help
open
Me,
them, they
Rhonda,
go.
and you listened.
Well, it looks like you've got some company there, Phil,
Oh, yeah,
behind
there's
you
no-
that you were going to do all right. I
Oh,
want
yeah.
Demon Seed front and center there.
Okay. All right.
Oh yeah,
It'll have
Here's
pride
to
of
you
place.
guys.
Cheers.
and to you.
For show notes on today's podcast, please visit our website at spiritsofwhiskey.com. That's whiskey with an E.
We'll include links and supporting documents from today's stories in this episode's blog post.
As always, you'll see upcoming topics, a guest roster, and links to past shows.
Thanks for joining us.
Until next time,
Sláinte.
Sláinte. Spirits of Whiskey is produced by First Reel Entertainment and the Center for Culinary Culture, home of the Cocktail Collection, and is available via Anchor, Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and wherever fine podcasts are heard.